Reports emerging this morning confirm a dramatic and deeply unexpected turn in the highly controversial Matlala case, a development many South Africans had been anticipating yet few believed would arrive with such force. For weeks, the nation has been bracing for an official response from one of the country's most outspoken and influential security figures. That long, uneasy silence finally ended today. In a bold, uncompromising and unusually direct public address, General Mkhwanazi stepped forward and declared, without hesitation, that enough was enough. His statement, delivered with firm resolve and an unshakable tone, has already triggered a political shockwave across major institutions, sending analysts, commentators, and the public into a frenzy as they attempt to interpret the implications of his words. As reactions continue to unfold, South Africans are confronting the reality that this case, once clouded by uncertainty, has now entered a new, far more volatile phase. The Matlala case has been surrounded by controversy, confusion, speculation, and growing public outcry. For weeks, the official channels remained tight-lipped, avoiding clear statements even as pressure escalated from community activists, civil society organizations, and families directly affected by the situation. Many believed the silence was intentional, a tactic meant to allow political maneuvering behind the scenes. But in a move that caught even insiders off guard, General Mkhwanazi broke through the tension and released a fiery, unusually transparent address. Those who witnessed the briefing described his demeanor as controlled yet forceful, a combination that signaled he had reached the absolute limit of his patience with those he believed were distorting the truth. From the moment General Mkhwanazi began speaking, the atmosphere in the room shifted. Observers noted that the tension was palpable, the silence heavy, as though everyone understood the gravity of what was about to unfold. There was no warm introduction, no cautious easing into his message. He went directly to the core of the storm. He stated plainly that the confusion, misinformation, and unchecked allegations swirling around the Matlala case had gone on far too long. He expressed deep frustration with unnamed officials whom he accused of intentionally twisting the narrative for personal gain, factional advantage, and political leverage. His repeated declaration of "enough is enough" became the defining phrase of the address, echoing throughout the room and across the country as news outlets replayed the clip. He used the phrase not merely as a slogan but as a line drawn in the sand, a signal that he intended to push back against those who, in his view, had compromised the integrity of the investigation. A major portion of his speech focused on interference. Not vague interference, but political, administrative, and internal meddling that he claimed had impeded the investigation at multiple stages. According to Mkhwanazi, the process had been tampered with, interrupted, or redirected by individuals who feared what a fully transparent inquiry might reveal. His tone shifted between anger and disappointment as he revealed that certain figures within the system had attempted to weaponize the case, using its details as ammunition in their factional battles. He emphasized repeatedly that the Matlala situation should never have become a political football, stressing that its true purpose, justice, clarity, and accountability, had been overshadowed by selfish agendas. His words exposed deeper cracks within the institutions tasked with overseeing the investigation, raising serious questions about internal coordination and the integrity of ongoing oversight. As he continued, General Mkhwanazi addressed the public directly. He acknowledged the fear, confusion, and growing hopelessness expressed by ordinary citizens who had watched the story become increasingly complicated with each new leak and contradictory statement. He recognized the frustration of communities who had been asking the same questions for weeks, only to receive conflicting answers from various officials. He expressed regret over the way the narrative had spiraled, but he insisted that political noise would not bury the truth. He vowed that he would not allow the investigation to be swallowed by agendas, media manipulation, or strategic silence. His message to the public was unmistakably clear: they deserved answers, and he intended to deliver them, even if doing so placed him at personal or political risk. In one of the most intense segments of his address, General Mkhwanazi laid out what he referred to as the verified sequence of events in the Matlala case. While careful not to reveal sensitive evidence, he explained that the public timeline had been distorted, intentionally or otherwise, in ways that benefited certain narratives. He criticized those who release selective snippets of information designed to generate panic or mislead communities. He also chastised media platforms and public commentators who, in his view, prioritized controversy over accuracy. His clarification served as a firm rebuke, not only against misinformation but against the culture of speculation that had dominated the national conversation. By resetting the timeline, he sought to pull the public away from the exaggerated and manipulated versions of the story and redirect them toward what he insisted was the real, verified account behind the investigation. General Mkhwanazi did not stop at criticizing interference from the outside. In an unexpected display of candor, he acknowledged the failures within the system itself. He admitted that departments responsible for oversight had not acted swiftly enough, had not communicated clearly, and had failed to present a united front during a crisis that demanded consistency and coordination. His frank acknowledgement of institutional weakness surprised many analysts, as high-ranking officials rarely expose internal fractures so openly. Yet Mkhwanazi argued that honesty, even uncomfortable honesty, was essential if the country was to move forward. He suggested that transparency, not denial, was the only way to restore trust and ensure genuine accountability. Toward the end of his statement, General Mkhwanazi delivered one of the most powerful promises of the address. The investigation would continue without fear, without bias, and without external influence of any kind. He stated that he intended to personally oversee critical phases of the inquiry to guarantee that no one, regardless of rank, affiliation, or political protection, would be exempt from scrutiny. His vow was immediately interpreted as a turning point, particularly among communities who felt the case had lost direction and had been drifting further away from the pursuit of truth. His message carried an unmistakable warning: there would be consequences for interference, consequences for misleading the public, and consequences for anyone attempting to manipulate or suppress the truth. Within hours of the address, the nation reacted. Social media platforms exploded with clips of Mkhwanazi's speech. Many users praised his courage, applauding him for saying what others had avoided. Others questioned his timing, his motivations, and the political implications behind his statement. But despite the mixed reactions, one point of agreement emerged across the political spectrum. The Matlala case had entered a new and irreversible chapter. Analysts predicted heightened debates, fierce political conflict, and renewed public pressure on institutions to operate in full transparency. They noted that the general's address was not simply a response, it was a declaration of intent, a warning shot, and the opening of a far more intense period in the country's political landscape. As his address reached its conclusion, General Mkhwanazi warned that the coming days would bring significant developments. He encouraged the public to remain calm but alert, reminding them that the truth, no matter how contested, would emerge. His final words carried the tone of a leader who understood the gravity of the moment and who was prepared for the battles that lay ahead. The silence that had defined the early stages of the Matlala case was over. What followed, he implied, would not be quiet, nor would it be simple. The country now waits, bracing for the storm he predicted, aware that the next revelations could reshape the narrative entirely. For viewers, readers, and citizens seeking clarity in the midst of uncertainty, the need for reliable information has never been more urgent. The developments unfolding around the Matlala case are set to dominate national discourse, prompting questions about accountability, political integrity, and the future of South Africa's security institutions. With tensions rising and new chapters unfolding, the nation remains on edge, aware that the story is far from over.